Hello everyone, Prime here. I hope you're having a great day, because today we're going to be continuing with our saddest stories of Smite. This one took me a bit by surprise, and I'll just tell you now there probably will be a part 3, because one of the Pythons decided that it wanted to be special and have more information than the previous video, still packed into just one Python. So, we're only going to be covering that single Python today, being the Japanese. Izanami, she who invites, and Izanagi, he who invites, were the 7th generation of Shinto gods and created many Japanese islands together. First, Onogoro was created with a special spear gifted to them by the previous generations of Shinto gods. This spear either closely resembled or very much was a type of naginata, which was a polearm weapon with a usually curved blade at the end of it, sectioned off with a guard. This spear was called the Ame no Hoko, meaning jeweled spear. During their wedding ceremony, Izanami got all excited when she first laid eyes upon Izanagi. This didn't bode well for their first child because it turned out deformed, a Hiroko, meaning leech child. Luckily for the child, this isn't Greek, Mayan, or pretty much most other pantheons, and instead of suffering some nasty fate where it might lose its life in a horribly ritual fashion, it was just sent on a boat, adrift. The child actually grew up to be quite lucky because it became the god Ibizu and became one of the Shichifukujin, meaning 7 gods of good luck. So, pretty lucky on Ibizu's part. Well, I mean, Ibizu was still kind of fat, and if we ever see him in Smite, you'll get to see yet another fat god, and he was the patron deity of fishermen, but still pretty lucky god. Izanami and Izanagi went for a second wedding ceremony, during which Izanami actually honored tradition this time and remained silent until addressed. After this, the couple created 8 islands, which just so happened to be the largest ones in Japan. Bubbles spawned from these islands that created foreign lands and continents, and the couple continued to create other deities that presided over the wind, seas, trees, and even rice. Kagutsuchi was born soon after this into the world, but in Izanagi's eyes he was nothing but trouble, and soon had no other choice but to slice up the god into 4 pieces. Or at least, he had many other choices, but he was pretty mad. You see, Kagutsuchi's birth ignited Izanagi's wife into a bunch of flames, and ruined her beautiful complexion as her charred corpse fell to the earth. Luckily though, the chopped up remains of Kagutsuchi didn't go to waste. The Milky Way's stars were actually made up out of his blood, and his other parts formed gods. A bit similar to Ymir, I'm sure the two of them can relate on that. Izanagi wasn't content to just let the love of his life rot away in hell, or Yomi as it was called, and ventured off there to retrieve her. In the foul, dark void of Yomi, he was reunited with his wife, who refused to return with him, saying that she ate some bad food at Yomi that trapped her there. Izanami also made sure to hide her appearance, and Izanagi didn't consider that she might have done this for a reason. He waited for her to fall asleep and then lit a torch, unveiling her new Walking Dead cosplay. Izanagi did what any sensible and wise gentleman would do in the situation after seeing his new zombie wife. He screamed like a little girl and ran away with manliness. He found a manly boulder and blocked the entrance to Yomi with it, so that his manly wife, who by the way was chasing after him faster than Usain Bolt ever could, would never be able to touch him again. He then divorced her, as any rational person would consider doing, but Izanami was not having any of that nonsense, saying that she would claim 1,000 lives every day that he decided to not be her husband. Undermining her in response, Izanagi said that he would give 1,500 lives a day. Izanagi getting a divorce is quite interesting to me, because I thought marriage was supposed to be until death do us part, and considering the fact that Izanami died and went to Yomi, I guess it's a different culture and a different plot of land from the West entirely, but is Izanagi really doing anything wrong? I suppose that's a whole other discussion for a whole other video, but still. That got me sidetracked for a good half an hour thinking about that. Anywho, getting back on track, Izanagi then noticed that some of the nastiness from the underworld had latched onto his skin, which was nothing that a good bath shouldn't solve. As he bathed, his left eye produced Amaterasu, the goddess of the sun. His right eye produced Tsukuyomi, the deity of the moon, and from his nose sprouted Susanoo, god of the storm. Amaterasu was given governance over Takamagahara, high celestial plane, the home of all gods. Susanoo was given dominion over the sea, and out of respect, the two produced children together. But Susanoo was none too pleased about his role at all in comparison to Amaterasu's and was jelly of her. He was so jelly of her, in fact, that he actively sabotaged her lands. He created chaos in her rice fields, ruined her place of dwelling, and disrespected her weaving hall by putting a flayed horse in there Bolton style. Amaterasu protested by punishing the entire world. As she did so, the entire world fell into darkness and she just camped out in a cave. Izanagi was none too pleased about this and banished Susanoo from heaven for his naughtiness. On his way down to the earth, he finds an elderly couple in a place on earth called Izumo, grieving over the loss of their 7 grandchildren, as they hold their final grandchild in their arms. Moved by the weeping and the sorrow, as well as feeling remorse for what he had done in heaven, he laid 8 separate baits for each head of a local dragon, or serpent. I'm not sure if it was a dragon or a serpent, but this beast was causing a lot of turmoil in the area, and was responsible for the deaths of these 7 children. When the dragon fell for the bait, Susanoo used his sword to slice off 7 of its heads. Whilst he finished off the beast, his sword got a bit chipped, and that's why you see that special design with the little dents in the sword, which looks pretty cool, I must add. Plus, from the tail of the serpent, he recovered the Kusanagi sword, grass mower, which Susanoo then gifted to his sister, who then gave it to the first ruler of Japan, which kind of established a link between people of Earth and the Japanese Shinto gods. Back in heaven, no one was happy about the sun's disappearance, and the gods hatched a plan to get their son back. This beautiful goddess of dancers excited the other gods with a questionably revealing display. A mirror was planted just outside of Amaterasu's cave, and one of the gods lured her out with a statement that there was a goddess more alluring than she could ever be just outside. With all the merrymaking, she was lured outside and gazed into the mirror. Immediately after this, she heard some cocks crow and relieved herself of her rocky confinement. The gods then planted a sacred rope of rice outside of the cave so that Amaterasu couldn't just hide the next time she threw a fit. But that wasn't the end of the sun goddess's woes, as she sent her brother Tsukuyomi down to Earth to meet with Ukomochi no Kami, the goddess of food. The records of the ancient matters say that it was Susanoo that was sent down to the earth, but considering the ending of the story, it makes more sense if it was Tsukuyomi. And also, everywhere else pretty much says that it was Tsukuyomi, so let's just go with Tsukuyomi. Ukomochi produced her food through her mouth, from which she could create any delicacy that you could imagine. But Tsukuyomi was not too impressed to be given vomit to dine upon, and when he discovered that it was genuinely vomit that was given to him, even though it was vomit transformed into illustrious fish and all types of dishes that he could have enjoyed, he unsheathed his blade and gave Ukomochi a stab or two, killing her. Then he returned to Amaterasu. When he told Amaterasu all about it, she replied with, "Henceforth, I shall not meet you face to face." This is the reason why the sun and the moon are never seen together in the sky, or in nighttime, or any time at all. Still not sad yet, you say? Well, did you know that Ukomochi's head became various ox that you can see today, and the horses that you can see as well? Her forehead created millet, her eyebrows silkworms, her eyes cereal, her belly rice, and her genitals became wheat. Think about that the next time you enjoy yourself your favorite bowl of cereal. Gods know I will. So this is the part where I somehow pick which is the worst scenario to be thrust into. And before I do that, I'm going to quickly detail 2 gods that are Japanese and in the game that I haven't mentioned yet, those being Raijin and Kazembo. Raijin, saddest thing I consider to be in his backstory that I was able to find out was that he's constantly thrust into battle with his brother, who has dominion over the winds, whereas Raijin has dominion over lightning. It doesn't seem too sad purely for the reason that it's a massive strength contest. The two want to find out who's the strongest between each other, and they battle pretty much every day. No one's dying, no one's getting seriously injured, they're just constantly butting heads endlessly every day. But I'm sure they have fun. As for Kazembo, the saddest thing that happened to him was probably when he was defeated by a general and had to bow his head, which made him lose a good portion of his Kappa powers, because Kappas gain special powers as long as there's water filled in the jar atop their heads. Thing is about Kazembo though, is he's more of a guy whose Kappa cause more harm than actually has sadness inflicted onto him. So Kappas are said to want to extract this mythical, magical essence that resides within every human being through the most painful hole that anything could be extracted from on any gender. Think about that for a second. Kazembo's not very nice. Kappa are also said to eat people, children, whatever indiscriminately, as well as cucumbers. Any cucumber lovers out there, yeah, that's some pretty sad stuff. But aside from that, not too much sadness befalls Kazembo. The only other thing I could possibly mention about Kazembo is one of his two origin stories, being that the Kappa themselves were formed as a result of a warring army losing a great battle, and their spirits of vengeance were so strong that they lived on and were turned into these Kappa beings that are like frog-like lizard men that just live in bodies of water and seas, rivers, things of that nature. That's kind of sad in and of itself, but I really can't think of anything that would be too depressing or heart-jerking about Kazembo other than those things. Then we get back to Amaterasu and her family. So if I have to go with an order from least saddest to most saddest, least saddest being Raijin for me, then Kazembo, then Amaterasu, then Susanoo, then Izanami. And Tsukuyomi would be somewhere in between Izanami and Susanoo for me. The reason why I'm putting Amaterasu below Susanoo is because Amaterasu was able to find some sort of resolution for her story, so it's kind of like she has a happy ending. Susanoo is because at least he could come and visit. So I'm not sure if Susanoo was able to live in heaven, but he could visit heaven and he could go there from time to time. Whereas Tsukuyomi, it was clear that Amaterasu didn't want him anywhere near her presence or being, hence why the moon and the sun are separate, which is quite sad in and of itself. And then Izanami, hands down, has the most sad backstory in Japanese mythology out of the Smite gods that we have been given. I know I'm including Tsukuyomi a bit prematurely, I have no idea whether he's actually going to be coming into the game, but pretty sad for Amaterasu. Being burnt after childbirth, sent to Yomi, losing your godly status, your good looks, your charm, your husband leaving you, and then bitterly taking 1,000 lives every day because of this in protest until your husband returns, which very low chance that Izanagi will ever return to Izanami. So that's pretty sad. Is it sadder than what happened to Hoi slash Chunga, or what Athena decided to not so kindly do to Medusa or Arachne? I think it's on the same level. I'm not going to try and presume to say that it deserves its own level above what happened to Arachne or any of the other gods that I mentioned, but you can help me decide in the comments below, so please do that. Thank you for making it this far. I hope that you really did enjoy yourselves. If you did, go ahead and leave a like, and of course comment in the comment section below telling me, so far of all the gods we've discussed so far, which god has the saddest, most tragic backstory so far. There will be a follow-up video to this, and I'm not sure how I should do it, because giving a whole pantheon its own video just because it was that long kind of seems like I should probably do a separate video for each pantheon now. So let me know how you think I should take this going forward. I'll put this series on pause until we kind of figure out where I should go next from here. But again, thank you very much for watching. I've been Prime. Have a very good day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.